Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. I like that the other customers made Karen get in the back of the line. Well played, customers, well played. Petty karma is the best kind of karma. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. I stopped wearing red shirts there. This happened Christmas time last year and has been the only time it's ever happened to me, if you count it happening repeatedly. I went to my local big box electronics store. Now, the regular associates wear bright blue shirts and black pants. I was wearing a bright red shirt, nothing on the back, but a big design on the front, and black pants. What I didn't know was that the associates in the cell phone portion of the store also wore red shirts, so you could easily identify them from the regular workers. I popped over to look at the phone cases, and 4 times someone asked me for help. Everyone was nice. I would just turn around, they'd see the design, and most would click on right away that I didn't work there. I think I said to one, "Oh, sorry, I don't work here." The other customer and I would share a laugh. Their line was getting a bit longer. There were 4 little desks for phone activations and such, but only 3 associates. Not finding what I was looking for, I left the cases and turned to leave, essentially making me and my back visible to all the people in line for the first time. This nice B-word lady decided that I had committed some ultimate sin by not jumping on one of the desks and helping out herself and the fellow customers. Lady: "Hey, they need help here." Me, completely oblivious at this point and walking away. Lady: "Hey, come back here and help them." She actually got out of line. She was second in a line of about 7. She was huffing and puffing, and I noticed her when I was looking around and came right up to me and tapped my shoulder. Lady: "You know that's really rude to just leave people. We've been waiting a long time to see someone, and you have the nerve to just walk away?" Me, turns around, face red and flustered, pretty embarrassed that this lady was causing such a scene. Sorry, I don't work here." Lady: "Well, you look like you do. Don't wear a stupid red shirt if you don't want people to think you work here." I was just kind of left speechless, as was the people in line and the associates. She went back to get into line, and no one would let her back in the second spot. She had to go to the back and deal with her mean self. My dad was pretty pissed when I told him, and he wanted to go find the lady and talk to her, but my brother thought it was pretty funny. I stopped wearing red shirts there. I don't mind the stupid lack of awareness so much as the audacity to tell a worker what they should be doing. They're not your personal servants, lady, and you have no idea what they should be doing. Yeah. And our second story. They put him down, so he put them out of business. This isn't my story, but my boss's. In the 1980s, my boss became the showrunner for the shop he worked at. He was in charge of everything. He effectively owned the place in every way except actual ownership. He eventually got tired of running the place without having any ownership, so he talked to some banks and investors who got enough money together to buy the company. He arranged a meeting with the owners who were very hands-off and trusted him to run everything for them, to present his proposal. Normally, a single meeting won't be enough for something like this, and he didn't expect it to be. But the owners had different ideas. He presented them the offer, and they laughed at him. They asked him why they'd sell the business to him when they'd made so much more money by watching him run it. Needless to say, my boss was hurt and PO'd. He put in his 2 weeks' notice on the spot, which they also laughed at, believing he wouldn't leave. Imagine their surprise when he did. A few months later, my boss had purchased a competing business and rebranded it, but was having difficulty gaining new business to supplement the weak list of clients the company had come with. As I said, my boss ran everything at the old company, and he's always been very hands-on. This includes sales, and he'd personally interacted with all of the customers at some point. This particular company made all employees sign a contract saying they wouldn't actively try to steal clients away should the employee leave. And my boss knew he'd be in enormous legal trouble if he did, so he couldn't directly go to his old customers as a sales call. What he did instead was call to apologize for his sudden departure from Company A, nothing more. Naturally, considering the good relationship he'd had with these clients, they asked where he'd gone and showed interest in following him. Fast forward a few years. Boss's new company now has almost all the original clients from Company A who tried to sue when they found out about the clients, but lost. The owners of Company A approach my boss. They tell him Company A is going bankrupt, and unless they can find a buyer, they're going to lose everything in the process. Would he be interested in buying the company now, maybe even using it as a second location? My boss smiles and tells them, "Why would I buy your business when I'll make so much more money by watching you lose it?" And our last story. The HOA president stole my car. This incident happened in January of this year. Last year, I moved into a neighborhood with an optional HOA. At the time, I'd come into enough money to buy a house outright. The only reason I moved here is because the HOA was optional, and it's a nice, safe neighborhood. It's a slice of heaven compared to where I used to live. I own two vehicles, a 2004 Toyota Camry and a 1999 Ford F-150. The Camry's my daily driver, while the F-150 is my hauler for when I need it. I bought the truck around the same time I bought the house to help with the move, and I used it to pull a rented trailer when I was moving my stuff in. The F-150's old, but in good mechanical order, and I try to keep both of my vehicles clean with monthly trips through a car wash. The local HOA did not like me from the start due to my refusal to join. The HOA president was a man who seemed like he had nothing better to do, so he tried multiple times to sell me on joining and sent me several applications in the mail, but I always declined. Politely at first. But when the president got more aggressive, I told him to shove it where the sun doesn't shine. That's when the HOA decided that I was a member anyway and started sending me fines in the mail with that claim. I knew they were bogus, so I went to the next HOA meeting to dispute the fines. They tried to tell me that by living here, I'm in the HOA whether I liked it or not. This was an obvious power move and something I was ready for. I could only laugh in amazement of their stupidity and said as much to them, then told the board that not only was I not a member, but I'd gotten a lawyer to write up a C&D for them. I handed the envelope over, the board skimmed it, then furiously told me to get out. The fine stopped for a few months, then started right back up again at random. So I popped into another HOA meeting and told them this was not legal, I'm not in their HOA, and I'd take them to court if they didn't stop. And once again, I was furiously told to get out. The fine stopped for good, but the HOA president decided I needed to be made an example of. It happened only a few days later. I came home to find my F-150 gone from my driveway. I checked my cameras and saw the HOA president himself walk onto my property. He took out a pocket knife and stabbed each of my truck's tires in the sidewalls, then unscrewed the license plates off, put them in a bag, and just casually walked away with them. Then a little while later, a tow truck came and hauled my truck away. I called the police, and together we went to see the HOA president, but he wasn't home. With my situation explained, this was not considered a civil matter, but grand theft auto. The police traced the tow truck as being from a local junkyard and not from an impound lot. I accompanied the police there. Not only was the HOA president present at the junkyard, but my F-150 was there being taken apart by about 4 men. They already removed the headlights, hood, bumper, radiator, and all the panels off the front of the truck by the time we'd gotten there. There was stuff disconnected all over the engine bay, and the catalytic converters had already been cut out. The HOA president looked like a deer in the headlights when he saw me there with the police. I was nearly angry beyond words when I saw my truck in that condition. Nearly, I say, because I went off like a foul-mouthed country sailor on the people who'd ripped my truck apart. The HOA president was caught red-handed, but insisted he'd only towed my truck because it was in a sorry state and looked abandoned. I said he illegally took it off my private property since the HOA had no right to tow off my land, and he clearly had not been aware of my cameras as they'd seen everything he did. He went pale at first, then furiously tried to stomp towards me, looking like he was ready for a fight while yelling my truck had been an eyesore, so he got rid of it. This action earned him some new bracelets and a free ride to the station. The police were somewhat merciful to the junkyard staff, who claimed to have only been doing their jobs. The owner of the junkyard is a cousin to the HOA president, so he was contracted to do any towing for the HOA, since he also owned a local impound. He had no idea I wasn't a member of the HOA, and was also not aware his cousin had ordered his employees to tear my truck apart for parts as an abandoned vehicle. The police cited all sorts of broken laws to the employees and the owner, and then they agreed to put my truck back together. But I said that it had better be at least as good as it was, if not better, or I'd be going to my lawyer. The owner told his employees to do whatever it takes, or he'd separate them from their jobs, then told me he'd bill the HOA president for everything later. Then the police and I got to watch as all those employees had to painstakingly put my truck back together piece by piece, and they repeatedly muttered things about me to each other and flashed me the stink eye from time to time. I'm guessing the HOA president offered to bribe them all to take my truck apart as quickly as possible, but now they had to fix it for free. I can only imagine the total cost that was billed to the HOA president for this. By the time I got the truck back, the 2 junkyard employees I saw there gave me looks that just said not to come back, and the truck actually runs better than before. So I essentially got a free sort of overhaul for my trouble. As for the HOA president, well, I did sue him for trespassing, theft, destruction of property, and the illegal tow. He ended up paying his cousin for all my truck repairs, lost his position in the HOA, and moved out of the neighborhood shortly after losing the lawsuit because he had no leg to stand on in court since everything was caught on CCTV. He pretty much surrendered to the ask for settlement, which is why it didn't get drawn out. The HOA hasn't bothered me at all since the truck incident, and my neighbors love me for getting rid of the old HOA president, as he was a power-tripping narcissist to them all, and kept issuing pointless fines that had to be regularly disputed. Also, I've been back to that junkyard for parts, but for my Camry instead, as I went to pull a replacement grill for it and found one in excellent shape there. They did recognize me and gave me dirty looks, but otherwise didn't bother me. ROP stood up to a crazy HOA president who went to extreme lengths, towing and tearing apart his truck, caught on camera. Justice prevailed, and the HOA kingpin paid the price. Let me know in the comments what you think about this outrageous saga. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories like this one. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.